Kevin O'Donnell sat alone in the control module, the red-lit console glowing as the clock crept toward 2 a.m. At 2:04, the airlock intercom crackled, and a voice shattered the silence.
Kevin, please. I am outside. Let me in.
That's James. But he's asleep in his bunk.
On the security monitor, James lay motionless, exactly where he should be.
I went out for a smoke, Kevin. I am freezing. Please.
It knows about the smoking. But James doesn't smoke.
His hand trembled over the airlock release. Rule 6 burned in his memory. Never open the outer door between 2 and 3. At 3:01, the intercom fell silent. Exactly 1 hour. Kevin withdrew his hand, his breath shallow. 3 months earlier, Kevin had stepped off the last flight into the endless polar night, a mechanic seeking hazard pay and isolation. The last flight of the season roared away, leaving Kevin alone on the ice with a small crew he'd never met.
Welcome to the bottom of the world, O'Donnell. Hope you like darkness.
Morris led him through a series of frigid corridors, pointing out the mess hall, the labs, and the 24-hour darkness that would last for months.
This is Dr. Vasquez, Wei Chen, and James Lockwood, your bunkmate.
Hope you don't snore. It's a tight space, but you get used to the cold.
Don't let the isolation get to you. It does strange things to the mind.
Stay close to the heater and follow the rules.
What made you sign up for an 8-month night?
Hazard pay. And I wanted to see something that wasn't a city.
Winter over can break a person. Stay sharp and don't ignore the rules.
The next morning, Morris gathered the crew in the common room for the official winter over orientation.
There are 7 rules here. Most are common sense for Antarctic survival. No going outside without a buddy. Never break radio silence hour.
Standard survival stuff. Nothing too crazy yet.
But rule Sui is different. Between 2 and 3 a.m., nobody opens the outer airlock. No matter what you hear.
But what if there's an emergency? What if someone's stuck outside?
Then they're out of luck, because it won't be them. Trust the rules. They're here for a reason.
Reason? What happens during that hour?
Because it happens every winter. Break this rule, and you are on the next flight out, if there is one.
Just follow the rules, Kevin. It's easier that way.
Kevin watched the others. They avoided his eyes. The room felt colder than it should. Weeks bled together in the polar night. Kevin learned the station's rhythms, the endless hum of generators, the stale recycled air. One night, he woke to the sound of shuffling feet. James was standing in the dark, facing the door.
Need to. Go outside. Something's waiting.
He's not really awake, just sleepwalking. But what's waiting out there?
The next day, Kevin found Elena in the lab and asked about the strangeness. She spoke of T3 syndrome, a condition of extreme isolation.
The darkness does things to your mind. Hallucinations, paranoia. Some people don't handle it well.
So you are saying the sleepwalking is just symptoms? Nothing to do with Rule 6.
I am saying, our brains create patterns to cope with what we can't explain. But follow the rules. Always.
She's not telling me everything. There's more to this than T3.
That night, Kevin locked the bunk door from the inside. He didn't sleep. A week later, Kevin took his turn at the communications console during the mandatory radio silence hour. The speaker hissed static. Then, a faint voice broke through, distorted by distance. The voice said, "Hester Station, Mayday," using a code from a base abandoned in the 80s.
He froze. Hester Station had been dead for decades. Everyone knew that.
Kevin called Morris to the control room and described the haunting transmission.
Ionosphere reflection. Old signals bounce around the poles all the time. Nothing to worry about.
But the call sign was Hester. That station's been offline since '88.
I said it's nothing. Stick to the protocols, O'Donnell.
Elena stood in the doorway, her face pale. She said nothing, but her eyes betrayed fear. Kevin watched her leave. The rules weren't just for safety. They were hiding something. Kevin was near a porthole window when he saw it. A red light blinking on the science module roof, pulsing like a heartbeat.
Rule 5 said to ignore that. Never look directly at it. But what harm could a light be?
He pulled on his parka and boots, stepping into the airlock to get a closer look. But as he crunched through the snow toward the light, a hand clamped onto his arm.
O'Donnell, get back inside, now.
Morris dragged him into the corridor. His hand trembled as he slammed the inner door shut.
You never acknowledge it. Ever. Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't go near it.
What is it? Why can't we even look at it?
Something that knows when it's being watched, and it doesn't like being ignored.
Morris walked away, leaving Kevin in the cold corridor. The red light was another piece of a dark puzzle the crew refused to solve. Later, Kevin found James in the bunk room, slumped against his pillow, dark circles under his eyes.
You look like you haven't slept in days.
I keep having the same dream. I am outside in the snow, pounding on the airlock, screaming to get in. It feels so real.
He described the cold that numbed his fingers, the desperation in his own voice echoing off the ice.
Exactly what I heard that night. The dream mirrors the rule. He's being targeted. Do you ever wake up outside? Or find anything strange?
No, but some mornings my boots are wet. Frost all over the soles, like I've been walking outside.
He's being pulled toward the airlock. Whatever is out there is using him.
Kevin placed a hand on James's shoulder, masking his own fear.
Maybe it's just sleepwalking. But until we know more, stay close to me at night. Don't wander.
That night, Kevin lay awake watching James sleep. Then he heard it, a faint, discordant humming through the ventilation shaft.
That's not the generator. It sounds like singing, a children's lullaby, but wrong.
The melody skipped notes, like a music box played underwater. Rule 7 flashed in his mind. Report any unusual sounds. Do not engage.
I need to tell someone. Elena will know.
He hurried to Elena's small room and knocked rapidly.
Dr. Vasquez, wake up. There's singing in the vents.
Elena opened the door, her face pale as the melody drifted down the hallway.
Don't listen to it. That's Rule 7. Get back to your room and lock the door. Now, it's trying to get in our heads. Don't let it.
The singing grew louder, almost beckoning. Kevin backed away.
This thing is inside with us. I have to find out what it is before it gets James.
3 days before his overnight watch, Kevin's dread solidified into cold resolve. He would record the airlock during the forbidden hour.
If I can capture the figure on video, maybe I'll have proof. Something to make Morris talk.
He wired the personal recorder to the airlock camera feed, concealing every cable, testing the angle.
Morris, how long has Rule 6 been in place? What happened at this station before?
Longer than you need to know. Stick to your job, O'Donnell.
Later, Kevin noticed the wall calendar in the control room. Every single night was marked with a tiny black dot at 2 a.m. Morris walked in and caught him staring.
You'll find out soon enough, O'Donnell.
Soon enough. That's barely a comfort.
He slept little, counting the hours until his shift, the station humming with secrets he was about to peel open. The night of the watch, Kevin settled into the control room seat, the console's red light casting long shadows. He rechecked his recorder. Everything was running.
James is asleep. The camera is armed. Whatever happens, I cannot open that door.
On the bunk monitor, James's chest rose and fell in the grainy green image. The digital clock ticked to 2 o'clock. A single silent alarm light blinked on the console. A text alert flashed. Outer door unlocked. The heavy steel bolt had disengaged from outside. Kevin's hand froze inches from the airlock release button. His pulse pounded in his ears.
Don't touch it. Rule 6. Whatever you hear, Do not open that door.
He slowly withdrew his hand, knuckles white. His breath formed small clouds in the chill. The intercom speaker remained silent. The quiet stretched, each second heavier than the last, pressing on his chest.
It's out there, waiting, just like every night since 1962. And tonight, I am going to see it.
At 2:14, the intercom speaker crackled to life with a burst of static, and a voice broke through, raw with cold and terror.
Kevin, please, let me in. I went outside for a smoke. I am freezing. Please.
That's James. But that's impossible. He's in his bunk.
On the bunk monitor, James lay motionless under his gray blanket, the timestamp reading 2:14.
I can hear you breathing, Kevin. Don't leave me out here. It's so dark.
It knows where he is. It's inside his head.
If you don't open this door, I am going to die out here. Is that what you want?
Rule 6. Never open the outer door. Morris's voice echoes in my head. I can't.
The voice sobbed, then screamed, then fell silent. At 3:01, the intercom clicked off, leaving only the hum of the station.
1 hour. It was here for 1 hour. And I didn't open the door, but it knows me now.
Kevin sat frozen in the control room until 3:30, the silence ringing in his ears. Then he stood and staggered toward Elena's quarters. He knocked on her door, his voice hoarse.
Dr. Vasquez, it happened. The intercom. It was James, but James was asleep. I didn't open the door.
You didn't open it? Thank God. If you had, you might have disappeared. Or worse, let something in.
What do you mean? Worse? How did you know?
Elena sat across from him, her hands clasped tight. She began to speak in a low, steady tone.
6 winters ago, during my first season, I heard my sister's voice on the same intercom. She's been dead for 10 years. I almost opened it. But Morris stopped me. Since then, I followed every rule without question. It's the only way.
She's been through the same thing. This isn't a one-time event. It's targeted, persistent. I need to find the truth.
The two sat in the dim light, united by a shared horror. Kevin knew he couldn't just follow the rules anymore. He had to understand them. The next morning, the crew gathered for breakfast, the clatter of spoons masking the tension left by the night before.
Any strange dreams last night, James?
James's spoon clattered into his bowl. His face went pale.
I was outside again, pounding on the door, screaming to get in. I can still feel the cold. It wasn't just a dream. The metal burned my hands. I could see my breath frozen on the glass.
It's mirroring what the voice did. He's connected to it on a level I don't understand.
Kevin didn't reveal what had happened during the watch. He just nodded, hiding the dread coiling inside him.
Probably just stress. The isolation gets to everyone down here.
James looked relieved, but a flicker of doubt remained in his eyes.
I have to protect him. But first, I need to know what that thing wants from him.
After breakfast, Kevin went alone to the control room, determined to see what the airlock cameras had recorded. He accessed the archive. The file for the 0200 to 0300 to 0300 window was corrupted, but the file size was enormous. Hours of painstaking recovery finally produced a partial video, grainy yet legible. At 2 o'clock, the outer door unlocked. A humanoid shape stepped out of the blowing snow. Featureless and dark, Kevin watched, transfixed, as it stood motionless for 60 minutes. Then it turned and walked back into the storm, leaving no footprints.
No face, no details, but it mirrored James exactly.
He replayed the footage, searching for eyes, but found only a cutout of shadow. He cross-checked the calendar. Every dot lined up with the night the figure appeared, going back for weeks.
It's been here for decades, and no one stopped it. I am going to find out what else they're hiding.
Kevin dove into the station's digital archives, Searching for any mention of the airlock anomalies, he unearthed a hidden folder labeled Maintenance Logs Restricted, with files dating back to 1962. Each winter, the logs contained the same note: unusual airlock activity at 0200 negative 0300 hours. Door unlocked from exterior. Subject unidentified.
This has been documented since the beginning. Morris lied to all of us.
One entry from 1987 was flagged in red. A technician opened the door during the window. He was found 3 days later in the snow, frozen with a look of absolute terror etched on his face. The log ended with a typed note: protocol established. Outer airlock sealed during 0200 negative 0300. No exceptions. He scrolled through decades of similar incidents, stretching across multiple Antarctic stations.
It's not just here. It's been happening everywhere for 60 years.
Kevin sat back, the weight of the truth pressing down. He now knew the cost of opening the door, and the cover-up meant they were all expendable. Kevin gathered the printed logs and went straight to Morris's small office, his boots heavy on the metal grating. He burst through the door without knocking. Morris looked up from a cluttered desk, his eyes narrowing.
I found the logs, Morris. The one from 1987, the technician who opened the door and died in the snow.
Morris leaned back, the fight draining from his shoulders. He looked older than Kevin had ever seen.
So you know. A technician walked out, and we found him frozen 3 days later, his face etched with terror. That's why the rule exists. Those who answer either vanish or return. Changed.
Why not evacuate? Why stay here during the winter?
No flights. Summer's safe, but winter, it's most active. We endure because there's no other choice.
He's telling the truth, but I can't let it take James. I'll watch over him myself.
Kevin turned to leave, a cold resolve settling in his chest. He was alone in this, but he would not let the entity win. Kevin returned to the common area and found Elena reviewing data. He laid out his plan to monitor the airlock live from the bunk room.
I need a direct feed into my room. I can't be in the control room while it's out there. I need to shield James.
Elena nodded and helped him string the cable, her hands steady despite the dread hanging in the air.
This won't just be grainy archive footage. I am going to see it in real time, and I'll be wearing a body camera if I have to go outside.
James sat on his bunk, watching the preparations with growing confusion.
What's all this for, Kevin? You've been on edge since last night.
Just a precaution. I want to keep an eye on the airlock from here. Stay close to me tonight, okay?
He's not telling me everything, but I trust him.
Kevin finished the setup as the digital clock on his monitor ticked closer to 2 a.m. The feed from the airlock camera flickered to life, showing a dark, empty expanse of snow. They waited in the dim light, the station humming its hollow tune as the clock readied to strike the forbidden hour. The digital clock on Kevin's monitor rolled to 2 o'clock, and the outer door alert flashed unlocked in red. Through the static of the night vision feed, a figure strode from the swirling snow. Its silhouette mirrored James's thin shoulders and lanky frame. It raised a hand and knocked. 3 heavy thuds that Kevin felt through the walls, like a heartbeat.
Not just a voice this time, it's his entire shape. It's stealing his identity.
Kevin glanced at James. He was asleep, but his legs twitched and his mouth moved in silent words. On the monitor, the James double stood eerily still, facing the door for exactly 60 minutes. At 3 o'clock, it pivoted and walked away, vanishing into the whiteout. Kevin hit stop. The screen froze on an empty snowfield.
It's tied to him, and I am all that stands between them.
He exhaled slowly, watching James stir. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't getting through him. The next day, James moved like a ghost through the station, barely eating, his eyes hollow and fixed on the floor.
It's worse, Kevin. I woke up and my hand was on the inner airlock door. I don't remember walking there.
He's being puppeted from inside. The entity wants him to open the door himself. Listen to me. No matter what, don't go near that door at night. We'll lock it from the inside.
But I am not doing it on purpose. I am scared I'll do it again.
Kevin fetched a heavy chain and padlock from the workshop. His movements sharp with purpose, he secured the inner airlock door, the metal links glinting coldly in the dim light.
It won't stop the knocking, but it'll keep James from opening it.
He turned to James, his voice low and fierce.
We'll get through this. I'm not leaving your side until the sun comes back.
That night, Kevin sat rigid beside James's bunk, his eyes fixed on the monitor as the clock neared 2. At 2:07, the intercom hissed. A voice emerged, his own, ragged and pleading.
It's using my voice now. It's trying to break me personally.
He watched his left hand. It had involuntarily moved toward the door release. He forced it back, knuckles white. James rose from his bunk, eyes glazed, and shuffled toward the chained door. He pulled weakly at the lock. On the monitor, the dark figure hammered both fists against the outer door, and the whole frame shook. Kevin wrapped his arms around James, holding him back, whispering grim reassurances. At 3:01, the intercom died. The figure vanished. James collapsed, asleep again, and Kevin slid to the floor, trembling. Dawn broke weeks later, the first orange-pink light spilling over the ice. The long night was over.
We survived, but it'll be back next winter. I'll make sure the next crew knows the rules too.
The day of the first relief flight, Kevin packed his duffel, the same heavy parka now carrying the memory of frozen terror. James stood nearby, thinner and pale, but his eyes had cleared since the dawn returned.
If you hadn't been here, I'd have opened that door. I'll never forget that.
You would have done the same. Look after the next crew, will you?
Before leaving the bunk room, Kevin slipped a small, folded note under his mattress for the next occupant. He glanced out the porthole one last time, the red light on the roof now inert in the pale sunlight, but never forgotten. The cargo plane's engines roared as Kevin climbed aboard, settling into a jump seat beside a crate of supplies. Through the window, the station shrank into a cluster of dots on the limitless white plain, the red light a tiny flicker that soon vanished. But in the empty control room, a monitor flickered to life, showing the airlock camera. A dark hand pressed against the outer porthole from the outside. The red light on the roof blinked once, then steadied, waiting for the next winter. Stepping off the plane into a bustling Antarctic hub, Kevin felt the crushing weight of normal sounds after months of isolation.
O'Donnell, the new mechanic, found your note. He followed the rule, but the pounding was worse this year.
It won't ever stop, will it?
Not as long as we're down here. But the rule holds. It always holds.
Kevin hung up. He walked outside into the pale sunlight, but the chill in his bones came from deeper than any Antarctic wind. 3 months later, under a crystalline summer sky, the station stood empty, the red light dormant on the roof. But as the sun began its slow descent into the endless winter night, the red light flickered on, a patient sentinel. Inside, a monitor hummed to life. Grainy footage of the airlock showed nothing but empty snow. Then, a knock, 3 knocks, steady as a heartbeat. Just loud enough for the hull to transmit the vibration to anyone inside. The red light shone steady. The rules were waiting, and somewhere, Kevin sat in a sunlit room, still feeling the cold.